Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to tonight's talk. The Self-Exiled Barnes Literary Haven is about the Kundera Library. First, I have to thank the Czech Republic Consul General Kundera for making this happen, for supporting this event, and for the idea of organizing this event. Tonight is a talk. Tomorrow there will be a concert performed by the string quartet of the Czech Philharmonic. There will be two pieces, Beethoven's string quartet opus 135, which Kundera talks a lot about that piece in his writings, and also Janáček's first string quartet, the Kreutzer Sonata. Also, Kundera wrote about that piece as well. I am a composer myself. I encountered Kundera, I think, in my undergraduate years, but I didn't read his book because of that movie, The Unbearable Nightmares of Being. I didn't watch that movie neither. The movie, although the movie's Chinese title is more interesting than the novel's Chinese title, because I think a lot of us know Kundera from that very strange Chinese title, 生命中不能承受的輕, very, very clumsy translation. It should be 浮世難來. I think it's a better translation. And then I came across Kundera in the early 1990s when I was doing my postgraduate. I still remember one day when I was running out of ideas for my composition, I came across a small book by Kundera called The Art of the Novel. It's in a second-hand bookstore. I read that book on my bed. I was shocked. And I went to the same bookstore and tried to get every book by Milan Kundera. And even up till today, I advise my composition students to read that book, The Art of the Novel, and all other Kundera collections of essays like Testaments Betray. Kundera, I think, is an artist novelist. And every year, when the Nobel Prize, and before the Nobel Prize announced it, we were all waiting for Nobel Prize to bestow this award to him, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Because for us as creator, it's not just about what to tell, but how to tell, and also the structure of a novel. I think Kundera's structure is very inspiring, his novel, and inspired me a lot when I compose. And also that Kundera wrote a lot about music. If you read his Testament Betray or The Art of the Novel, he talked about the interesting structure of Bach's The Art of Fugue, or he even transcribed Bernstein's performance of Rite of Spring, saying that why Bernstein's performance distort the beauty of that piece. These are all very interesting information to me. Tonight, we have the honor to have Professor Kubíček, who is the director of this Kundera Library. He will talk about that whole collection. It means a lot to us as well, because in this era of AI and digital literacy thing, we are talking about everything digital, but this collection is not digital at all. And let us welcome Professor Kubíček onto the stage.
Thank you, Professor Chehenkian. It's a great pleasure to be here. Really, I never supposed that Kundera is so popular in Hong Kong. Yeah. I was asked to prepare a lecture about Milan Kundera Library, which is really a lovely collection, and that not only collection, but at the same time also a very specific culture institution. And it's a great pleasure for me to do it. But later, I was asked to connect the Kundera Library with the topic Beethoven. I was surprised. Why with Beethoven? Okay, he mentioned him twice in his novel. The first mention was in Unbearable Lightness of Being. It was only small sentence quoted by Kundera, and it was one of those famous motifs written by Beethoven, Es muss sein, diese schwarze German Deutsche Musik, diese black German music. Yeah. The second comments regarding Beethoven was connected with the immortality. In this novel, you can find only 2 or 3 paragraphs about Beethoven. That's all. How to connect Kundera with Beethoven? Of course, there is small essays in one of his books about really very small essay, and that's all. Nothing more. How to connect Beethoven and Kundera? How to bring them together? So then I went to the Milan Kundera library and I tried to find something in this collection. And I saw this is one of the most important topic for Kundera, because Beethoven is one of the largest part of the Milan Kundera, in the Milan Kundera library. And I'm really thankful for this question, for the connection of Kunderas and Beethoven. But first of all, I would like to introduce you in the Milan Kundera library, which is, and this is the structure of my lecture. At the beginning, I will speak about the collection, about the institution Milan Kundera Library, about the task it has, and later I will move to the topic Beethoven. I will introduce the history of the library, and I will show you some curiosity you can find in this library. But I'm not director of Milan Kundera Library. I'm director of this biggest library. This is the Moravian Library, which you can find in Brno, in the second biggest town of the Czech Republic. And the Moravian Library is the nation library. In Czech Republic, we have the system that we have 2 nation libraries. The first one is in Prague, and the best one is in Brno. Yeah. And inside of this library, you can find Milan Kundera Library, which is a special room in which you can study the Kundera work, in which you can read all the Kundera books in a lot of languages, in which you can concentrate on your own thinking about Milan Kundera. The story began in Paris, 2017, if I'm right. In those time, I was very often in Paris to visit Milan Kundera, and it was 2 years before Kundera's birthday anniversary. And we make a lot of fun about his age, and I told him, look, Milan, maybe it's time to prepare some exhibition about your work. And he laughed and he told me, how you can exhibit a book? It's so boring. Yeah. How you can do it? And I told him, if you help me, we can do it. So he was laughing and he said, okay, we can try it. And it was the beginning of a very beautiful cooperation, because we discussed it for 2 years and we found a way how to exhibit the work one of the famous novelists of the world. And in those time, I was in Paris almost every month, looking for the materials to search the object for the exhibition, and the books were in those times. The books were everywhere. You cannot go through the rooms because it was full of the books, full of the journals, full of the newspapers. And in one moment, the Věra Kundera, the wife of Milan, came to us and she said, oh, boys, it's a big mess, isn't it? Maybe it's time to clean it. And Milan answered, okay, we will do it in 2-3 days. Everything will be clean. No, said Věra Kundera. It's time to clean it really, really good. Maybe it's time to move all the books to Brno. what do you think about? Asked Vera Milan. And Milan was laughing and said, it's not a bad idea. Maybe we can really move the whole library to Brno. And he asked me, what do you think about it? And I said, okay, it's not so bad idea. I can take care for it. But if you give me also your archive. And he was laughing and he said, look, it's typical man from Brno. You give him a finger and he would like to have all the hand. And the decision was that the library will be split in two parts. The first part will be moved to Brno. Right now, it happened in 2 or 3 months. And the second part, the Milan Kundera private library, will transport to Brno after Milan dead. Nobody for us thought that it happened so early, only after 1 year of the idea coming. Yeah. So, and this is the Milan Kundera Library, a really beautiful place in which, and from the beginning, we decided that it will be not only the collection of the books, it will be also the place for meetings, the place for everybody who is interested in the Kundera's world of thinking, or who is interested in Kundera's ideas. And it will be the place in which you can find everything what is necessary to study Milan Kundera's book. And what you can find in this Milan Kundera library, one of the most important part are the books which were published all around the world, which were translated from the Kundera's novels, the translation of Kundera's novel. And this is the collection which has about 4,000 of books, which is almost unbelievable. Yeah, 4,000 of edition of Kundera's novel and essays. The second part of the library, which is for me, like for scholars, more interesting, is Milan Kundera private library. I show you later why. Another part of the library is the archive, because when the book was published somewhere in the world, the publishing house sent to Milan Kundera all the reviews, all the critics which were published about this, about the novel, about this books of essay, and so, which is also a very interesting part of the collection, because in this moment you can study the reception of Kundera works, and you can ask yourself, why is Kundera so popular in every culture? What is different by reading of Kundera's novel in, I don't know, in India or in Austria or in Germany? What is the core of the Kundera's art of writing, and why is it so famous? Another part of the collection are a lot of prizes Kundera received during his life, and this is also a very interesting collection to see step by step how popular was he also from the point of view of literary critics, not only from the point of view of readers. And the last part is the archive. I'm going to speak about it later. When I'm speaking about authors' copies, this is the collection of books which can help you understand how small the world really is, yeah. And as I said, there is about 4,000 of edition of Kundera's books in more than 57 languages. Yeah, it's a huge amount. Yeah, my favorite books is, by the way. My favorite language is, by the way, the Spain language. Why? Because only the novel joke was published in Spain in 52 edition. I was wondering why. It's too old, this book. Yeah? It was published in Czech in the middle of 60s. It's too old for the young generation. Who can buy it? Yeah? And I realized that maybe for the young generation is this book very important. They buy it again and again. In every generation, they need to read this book, which is connected with the Czech history. And my question is it really connected only with Czech history? Or is something more important inside of the book, in the content, in the meaning of this book, what is readable not only for Czech readers, but also for everybody on this earth? Yeah, these are some numbers. Of course, the most popular Kundera's books you can find also in this library is Unbearable Lightness of Being, which started the popularity of Kundera in the middle of sorry, 80s. And yeah, and because of some agreement we have with the Wiley agency, which is the agency we take care for authorship of Milan Kundera, every book which is published all around the world has to be sent in one copy in the Moravian library. And it looks so in 1 week. Yeah. Every week there is 5 or 6 new copies. They are coming to Brno. It's unbelievable. It's almost like a river floating to Brno. Nobody knows where Brno is. Another important part, and this is very interesting, yeah, and it shows us how Kundera constantly worked on his narration, on his translation. This is the books which was mentioned by Professor Chin, and almost in every edition of Kundera's books you can find remarks on commentaries, yeah, and Player to translate it again, yeah, because he wasn't satisfied with any of his translation. He worked on the translation again and again. Why? This is because of this. The book you can find also in the Milan Kundera library, one of the famous editions which was ever published from Kundera's works, the first edition of the novel The Joke. It was published in Czech Republic, in the Czech version, it was published in the middle of 60s. And the first translation was prepared for a French audience in 1967, before Kundera moved to exile in the middle of 70s to France. He was read by French audience. Later, he told me a very interesting, interesting story. Later, he was in the middle of 70s. He was asked by one of his French friends regarding about this translation, and the friend told him, "I never know that your language is so baroque." Kundera was surprised. My language, my analytical language is baroque. What do you speak about? And he told me, I read your book or your novel, The Joke. Really, the language is so beautiful, so colorful. So Kundera took the translation, the first translation of The Joke, and he started to write with a pencil. Yeah. And this is the book after the Kundera's reading. Yeah. On every pages you can find a lot of it's really bad, and it's time to translate it again. And this is the reason why Kundera started to control to check every of his translation, because for him, the word has always its meaning. It cannot be mixed with another words. It cannot be synonymized. Yeah? The meaning is exactly in the hand of the author. The sense is something what is connected with the reader, but the meaning is something what I am responsible for. And it is the beginning of Kundera's working on translation. But it was for all his life, yeah? This is another important book. I will speak about this book later in connection with Beethoven. This is the Immortality. You can see in Czech is they're written, "This is my, don't touch it." Yeah? Because when it was published by Antoine Gallimard, Gallimard sent him the book like the author's exemplar, and Kundera control himself, yeah, control his own language if everything is correct. And he did it by every edition. I asked Antoine Gallimard, do you really change every edition regarding the Kundera's comments? And he told me, no. He never mentioned it. But Kundera did it again and again and again. It's really blackmail for every, not only for every translator, but also for every publishers. Yeah. What is beautiful on these books are the images of different publishing houses all around the world about the Czech society, about the Czech culture. You can find there a lot of possibilities how to bring the Czech culture to the world audience. Once, Milan Kundera was asked by some, I suppose it was a Japanese publishing house, if the publisher can use it was for joke, can use a picture with tank, yeah, tank, yeah. And Kundera said, why? Of course, it belongs to the Czech history. But it's not about war. Yeah? It's about love. Try to use another picture. After long debate, the publisher was so exhausted that he told him, please, could you make some good decision about the cover? And Kundera sent him his own picture, which started the new edition of Kundera's books. And now you can find a lot of Kundera's books with drawings made by Milan Kundera. And the first drawings, and this is also the picture from the library, from the Milan Kundera library, hang on in some small living room in Rennes, which is the French town in which Kundera came in the middle of 70s. And because, as you know, after the Kundera was connected with the so-called Prague Spring, and because he was one of the most important figure or heroes of so-called Prague Springs, he had really trouble after the Soviet occupation. He was unemployed, and it wasn't possible to be unemployed in those times in Czech Republic, and he has no chance to earn money. In those times came the offer from the university in Rennes to be a lecturer or to be the professor at the university. So he decided to go to the exile, and he spent three years in the University of Rennes in a very empty room. There was nothing. completely nothing. And Věra, the wife of Milan Kundera, was very sad, because it was the real depression. Yeah? You are sitting in the foreign country, in foreign town, in some block of flats, in the empty room. To make his happy, Kundera paint his first picture, or his first drawing. And 30 years later, when he was asked by this Japanese publisher to prepare some new cover for Joke, he decided to take one of them. And after that, almost every of his books was covered by this beautiful drawings. Here you can see the different possibilities which were done by Milan Kundera for the book Love, Abel Loves. Yeah. But not only this, and then I'm slowly moving to the private library. In this part of the library, you can find also a lot of books to which Kundera makes some interviews or commentaries. These are books which were very important for him. For example, for Czech audience, he prepared the books of essay written by Hermann Brock, one Austrian author, which was very important for Kundera thinking about the Middle European novel. And this is the private library. Yeah. This is the second part of the library, which were transported to Brno 1.5 years ago, after Milan Kundera died. And I was very often in Paris, but I never suspect that the private library is really a treasure. Yeah. Sometimes I had a chance to read something from this library when I was waiting for Milan Kundera because of other duties he had. And he gave me a book and he told me, you can wait for me and read these books. And when he came back, I asked him, in what place I can put these books back. And he told me always, it depends on you. Yeah. This is a moving library. Yeah. I always reorganize the content on the meaning of the library. For me, the library is a living subject. Yeah. And it was also very important to see this library, how is it moving, because when he started to write about something, he often used his library to make another core inside, yeah, to bring the books together, to prepare the basement for the new essay, or for the introduction to some books of his friend, and so on. And if you go through the library, you can see that it's really a library of typical European intellectual. You can see there are a lot of culture objects, a lot of fields for study. The main or the biggest part of the library is the fiction, of course. And the core of the library is the library which is devoted to Middle European authors. You know why? Because the Middle Europe was the most important topic for Milan Kundera. Yeah, another part of the library is philosophy, mainly the German philosophy. When he was asked why he is reading the German philosophy, and he answered, because if I'm tired, I read Heidegger. You know why? Because if you read Heidegger, you can sleep in 1 minute. Very important for him was psychology. Yeah, Freud and Jung. Yeah. This is very important author. These authors were very important for him because he started his career like a man who was devoted to surrealism. And Freud and Jung were fathers of so-called fathers of surrealism because they opened the realm of dreams. Of course, you can find there the books about the history, about the art, and one of the most important part about music. But true to say, this is not the whole Milan Kundera library. That's the third version of it, because the first library he created was created in Brno when he was young, when he was living in Brno, and in the middle of 60s he moved to Prague. So he brought his first library to Prague. It was really the basement of the library. Unfortunately, we have only few pieces from this library. Why? Because in the middle of 70s, he has too small car. This is the car which was used by him to bring all the stuff, all the things he needed, and when he moved to exile. So he very carefully took only few pieces of the books, or only few books from the old library to Paris, which is also very important, because in this case you can see what was really important for him. If you have to decide what to take, and you know that you can take only 20 books, the decision is really very important for you. Unfortunately, the rest of the library was destroyed during the time. Nobody knew what was the content of this library, and this is the reason why in the new library, which was created in Rennes and later in Paris, you can find mostly the French literature, and regarding the language, he was able also to read German. It was very difficult, very important for him later when he studied the books about Beethoven, because a lot of them were written only in German language, and few of them are also in English. I asked him 7 years ago, I understand that you read, I understand that you prefer reading in French. I understand that you read the books in German, because for everybody from Czech Republic, the German language is the first one, yeah, because we are connected with our history, with the German history, yeah. And to study the history in Czech Republic means to have the possibility to use the German language. But I'm really surprised how that's the amount of the English books in the library is not too low. And in that moment, Vera told me, yeah, because Milan is too lazy for English. Yeah. At the beginning of 70s, when Milan Kundera was unemployed, he has no job in Czechoslovakia. Vera was the woman who take care for family money. He gave a lecture for 10 students, and she learned them English. And she told me, and then we move to Paris. And I decided that my new students will be Milan. No, it was my worst student. Because his head was full of the new situation. There was no place for another language, and it was very difficult for him to study a new language. So he was very well in French, he was very well in German, but his English was as he said, acceptable. And this is the content of the Milan Kundera library, and these pictures are from Milan Kundera's bookshelves. Yeah, I took them when I decided to move the library to Brno, because I had a dream that later we will put the books in the same order like it was in Paris. But because of the moving library, it's almost it's unrealistic. Yeah. In this private library, and this is another part of very interesting way how to study the Kundera library, are a lot of books which are with this dedication. Yeah. And because of the dedication, you can reconstruct the Kundera's private life or social circle. You know that Kundera was very careful regarding his private life. He always said, there is a private life and there is a public life. My private life is strictly prohibited for everybody. And in my public life, there are only my novels, that's all. And you cannot connect it, yeah. You cannot mix it. But because of this dedication, we can reconstruct his private life. A few months ago, when I studied the collection of the private library, I told myself, did he knows that because of this, I can do what was for him what was prohibited by him, that I can not only reconstruct the social life, but that I can reconstruct also something what I can call the mental object, the author. But true to say, Kundera was really a bad reader. Yeah. This book was read by him. Yeah. I'm librarian, yeah, and I hate him because he destroyed every book which he really liked, yeah. And not because of these funny things he put inside, not to forget what was interesting for him, but also because he always read by pencil. And you can see again lot of comment. What was important for him was underlined. Sometimes you can find some sentence which later will be a part of some essay or will be part of some novel. The most important books, as you can see, was for him the books written by Franz Kafka. As you know, because you read Kundera's essay, Kafka was one of the prominent authors of Milan Kundera. And the books by Kafka are read really with pencil. Sometimes what is also very interesting is, and again, this is interesting for the interpretation. Yeah? Kundera tried to understand the sense of the comma. Yeah? Yeah. Comma is for him very important because to use the comma can change the meaning of the sentence. Yeah? And this is the moment when he realized that because of this comma, the meaning of the Kafka was completely destroyed. Another part of Kundera's careful reading. Or The Castle, one of the famous Kafka's text. Yeah. And again, there are the comma, no. This is, of course, the German version of the text, because Kafka, as you probably know, although he's a Czech author, he was born in Prague, and he spent all of his life in Prague, wrote only in German language, and he belongs in so-called Prague German literature. Yeah. But he was a Czech, yeah? And Kundera was able to read it in German, and then he compared it with the French translation. Yeah. Maybe this is the reason why Kundera wrote only few novels, yeah? Because he spent a lot of time by reading the others. And this is the part I spoke about. This is the part of the review or criticism which were sent to him, which can help us to reconstruct the reception of Kundera's novels all around the world. This is one of the exemplars from this collection, which was sent to Milan by the publishing house Hansa, one of the most important publishing house in Germany. And what is also very interesting in this part of collection, you can see that before the Unbearable Lightness of Being, the critics on Kundera were published in quite important by literary magazines. After this famous novel, all the reviews, all the recensions were published in the most famous journals all around the world. Yeah. And it was published not by anonymous critics, but by the most important intellectual, also by other writers. Philip Roth, for example. To prepare the situation for scholars, we collect also the journals in which you can find articles written by Milan Kundera. Part of them were part of the Milan Kundera's library before moving it to Paris. Part of them we collected later. And of course, the secondary literature about Milan Kundera. It's 107 titles. Only to read it, it's almost unrealistic. Yeah. It was written more about Milan Kundera, like it was written by Milan Kundera. And another very important part of the library are prizes or awards, which won Milan Kundera from the beginning of 70s until the end of his life. It's about 40 of prizes he received during his life. And this is one of the most important, the Jerusalem Prize. Why is it so important? Because in occasion, or when he prepared the speech for this prize, he wrote the first essay about the novel and love. Yeah. About the European novel, the God is the man is thinking and the God is laughing. Yeah, that's a very famous sentence from this essays. And this essays is at the beginning of his career, like essays. It started here in Jerusalem in 1985. Another important piece from this collection is the Legion of Honor, the most important awards which was taken to him from François Mitterrand, the French president. Maybe that you know that Kundera, after going to exile, had no citizenship because the communist regime took him the Czech citizenship away, and he was 2 years without. He was citizen of nothing. Yeah. And in 1977, when François Mitterrand was voted like the president of France, the second law or the second act he did was the French citizenship to Milan Kundera, and from 1977 was he the citizen of French Republic, because Mitterrand was one of his friends, and this is the reason why he was so quickly in this sense. One of the latest, last but not least, prize was the very important prize by Foundation Charta 77, which connected Milan Kundera with Kafka again. It's almost some symbolic event. Yeah. At the end of his life, he was again connected with this famous author. An interesting part of the collection are photographies. Yeah. This is something that was also very interesting on Milan Kundera, because he was strictly against publishing everything for his private life. The photographies they could be used during his life it was only few photographies we can use, or publishing house can use it, and these are some of them so-called official photographs. Yeah. What is funny, he was always 10 years younger on this photograph, like in the reality. Yeah. And this is also the photography I really like. It was taken in Prague, 1968. Yeah. And how I know it? Because on the wall is written, "The true is the victory." Or pravda vítězí, jak se to řekne? Yeah, the true is the victory, which was the motto of the Prague Springs. So it means it was taken during the Prague Spring. These are unofficial part of the Kundera's photography collection, and I like this because he tried to help the trees not to fall down. He was a very strong man. And some of these photos are really strictly private. These are the group of friends from Brno, a very important Czech historian Josef Válka. He was also after the Soviet occupation one of the men who cannot find a work, who was under the restriction of new regime. And this is another part of the story. This is the story from France. You can see Milan Kundera with one of his most important friend, Alan Finkielkraut, or with Evgen Ionesco. I never knew that he was so small. Another very important part, if you will come to Brno, you can also study the Kundera's correspondence. Yeah. And it was also very interesting for me because he never spoke about it. Yeah. But he had really a huge correspondence, for example, with Federico Fellini, which is another nice story. 4 years ago, the granddaughter of Fellini came to Věra Kundera to ask her if she can publish the correspondence between Kundera and Fellini, and if she can use the drawings made by Milan Kundera, because Fellini made also some drawings, and it was for her it was funny to bring all these drawings together. And in those time, the granddaughter of Federico Fellini asked Věra Kundera, it was after the Milan Kundera death, do you know why this guy never met each other? And Věra told her, it's quite easy, because for Milan it was very important, the correspondence with Federico Fellini, but he was too shy to meet him. He always said, Vera, can you imagine that I will speak personally with Federico Fellini? It's unbelievable. And the granddaughter of Fellini was laughing and said, it was the same by my father. He told me the same. And the book which was published in Italy 2 years ago has a title, The Art of Not Meeting. Another very interesting part of the archive is the archive, or the library and archive, which belongs to Kundera's father, Ludwig, one of the famous and important compositions regarding the Czech music. He was the first dean of Janáček's Academy in Brno, and he was a pupil of Leoš Janáček. And in this case, you can see the roots of Milan Kundera interest for the music, which is also interesting. And nobody knows that something like this exists. Is the correspondence between Ludwig Janáček, Leoš Janáček, and Ludwig Kundera, which is partly official, but partly really private. What you can do with this, with all this collection, and this is a task which is waiting for you, because it hasn't been done yet. You can come to Brno and try to interpret the library. It's nice, isn't it? The fly goes tomorrow, and you can see how looks the place of thinking of some European intellectual. You can, and this is something what was strictly prohibited, you can reconstruct his private life. You can reconstruct, because of this, his social life. And this is something what I'm going to do in a few minutes. You can link these books with Kundera's text to find the roots of his thinking, of his ideas. The Milan Kundera Library is also a very important cultural institution. It was from the beginning, when we decided with Milan and Vera Kundera to create the library, Milan and Vera told me, but it's not the place for dead men. It's a place for living people. You have to bring the people to this library, to open them the possibilities for thinking. It's not necessary to think about Milan Kundera, but it's necessary to think. And that's the role which the Milan Kundera Library tries to play. This is a picture from the opening ceremony. Of course, the library was open in the Milan Kundera's birthday anniversary, and to make the program one of the best culture program in Czech Republic, we asked a few very important world intellectuals to be a part of the program board. For example, Jürgen Boss, the director of Frankfurt Book Fair, or my lovely writer Jasmina Reza, one of the very prominent French novelists. And of course, the member of the board is also Martin Glaser, the man who is not only the director of the Nation Theatre of Brno, but also the director of the most important music festival, Janáček's Festival. So, and it was Milan Kundera Library. And now the second task. Kundera and Beethoven. How to open this topic? Maybe by this short quotation. You can read it yourself. You can, and quickly, only the focus what is written there. It's a very famous story which takes place somewhere in Teplice, a very small Czech town where Ludwig van Beethoven met Johann von Goethe. Two very important German intellectuals met each other in Czech town Teplice. This story is described like the differences between, not only between two men, but between two eras. The Goethe belongs to classicism. He is a man of order. Beethoven looks like the man of future, revolutionary, almost anarchist. And this is a very old story which was repeated newly and newly in the European history, to divorce or to split these two eras to each other. And you can find it also in Milan Kundera's novel Immortality. Maybe you remember this. What was said by Milan Kundera, that this scene was misunderstood, because it was interpreted like the act of politics. It was interpreted like it was ideologized. But true to say, said Kundera, it's about the hierarchy between the art and the politic. Because the art, not the politic, is unmortal. And because of this, Beethoven is right. The art is unmortal, so Beethoven must have the way free. I'm so sorry, it was the manipulation. In fact, these texts were a collection of 3 books you can find in Milan Kundera library. The real scene is described here in the Immortality. It's slightly changing, but the changes are very important. But back to these books. The first one was written by Roman Roland, Beethoven, in 1903. Very important books for the world history, because it was the first modern interpretation of Beethoven, which created the way for how to understand Beethoven music. The second one is the book written by Kundera's father, Ludwig Kundera. Ludwig van Beethoven is the title of this book. And you can see that it was published in very specific time, on the top of Stalinism in Czech culture. And in those times, you cannot play Beethoven without make him some ideological background. So because of this, Beethoven was described like a man who was against any kind of order. He was the pretender of the revolution movement and so on. And because of this, Ludwig Kundera could play Beethoven in those times on the scene. Fortunately, the last part of the text is the part which was written by Milan Kundera. And here you can see the basement of Kundera's thinking. The books which were inspiring for him to rewrite or re-narrate this story and make the story a new a new meaning. And what is also quite interesting is this journal. You can find also in Milan Kundera library. This journal was so important for him that he took it with when he went to exile. It's a journal which was edited by his father, Ludwig Kundera. And Kundera wrote there again about Beethoven. And he pointed the finger that everybody is speaking about Beethoven in a very serious way. But we cannot understand the Beethoven music when we will not read this music like influenced by a specific kind of humor. Only the tension between the seriousness of Beethoven and the humor of him is the way how to understand the complexity of Kundera, of Beethoven work. Why it is so important? Because this is the point of view which adopted Milan Kundera. This family background, or this father background, this father way of thinking, is in fact the basis of Kundera thinking about literature, about things about the world, not to simplify it on one face only. In father's library, you can find also a lot of other Beethoven books or librettos. Of course, you can find that there also the Quartet 135, which inspired Kundera for this small motto in lightness of being. Yeah. This is this one. Yeah. But it doesn't stop. It didn't stop only with the father library. Later, you can see that Beethoven was also always very important for Kundera. That he bought the others symphonies written by Kundera. And when he started to write the book Immortality, he collected the books about Beethoven. Yeah. These books. These are some from the collection of Milan Kundera library. Some of them were read, but probably not so important because you can find it nothing. This is also the case of this tree, and in this you can find some sentences. They are underlined, but the real treasure are books in which you can find the commentaries or notions made by Kundera. And this is, for example, the case of these books. Yeah. For example, this is a sentence which is written on the cover of these books, which didn't inspire any sentence in Kundera's novel. You can use it because it's free. Yeah. And you can see that he constantly thought about not only about the book itself, what is read by him, but also about the connection. Here you can find three names: Kafka, Rushdie, music. Yeah. It's time to connect this man with the music. Yeah. To read Kafka like a piece of music, to read Kafka like a structure which was inspired by music. And this is also quite interesting. These pages were important for him. And this importance you can see in his novel because it's like a mirror. You can see this parts of the books like the parts of the structure of Kundera's novel Immortality. And not only the books about Beethoven, he studied also books about Bettina von Arnim, another important character in Kundera's novel. Again, this sentence is connected with the topic immortality. Yeah. It wasn't used in the novel. Again, it's free. If you can use it, yeah, and it's not uninteresting, yeah. True to say, he hated Bettina von Arnim. You can find a lot of commentaries. Kundera argued with Bettina von Arnim when she spoke about Goethe or when she spoke about Beethoven. This is the correspondence between Bettina and Goethe, which is also the part of the immortality, which inspired him to create the connection between these two, the fiction connection between these two characters. And in one of the paragraph he found the commentaries about sentimentalism, and it was the starting point of a very important part of immortality he described later, because it's also the battle against the so-called homo sentimentalis, or against the homo sentimentality. He was really regarding the materials, he was really a man who tried to take all the documents he could collect. Yeah? You can find in this collection a lot of books about Goethe, about Bettina von Arnim in German or in French language. And this is why I'm thankful for the question if I can connect Beethoven with Goethe, because in this moment you can see not only the connection with the materials, what was inspiring for Milan Kundera. You can really trace the way of thinking of Milan Kundera. You can see the roots of Milan Kundera world of thinking. You can see the father behind, and you can see the situation of reading, so-called, in which Kundera started to work on his topic. And probably you can see one of the most important moments in this reconstruction, that for Kundera always to read, to write, was the act of dialogue. Yeah. He always constructed the dialogue between books and between the characters, between different ideas. Yeah. Not to construct some hierarchy in this, but to let them speak, to bring them on the scene. And this is a very important part of the Kundera's aesthetic, the polyphony of the modern novel. In this case, Beethoven, Goethe, Hemingway, that's the character you can also find in the novel, or Bettina, are different tones in this polyphony. And not only these fictional characters, which has some historical roots, but also the reader. It's a part of this dialogue. Kundera always speaks also with the reader. He tries to bring him into dialogue. He can do it in different ways. He can like the author in text, he can speak it with him, but we can do it also by the composition, by the structure of the text. Yeah. And this is, I have to be very careful in this way because I'm at the beginning of this idea. This is maybe the most important way of thinking of Milan Kundera, which was inspired by Schoenberg, by the new type of harmony. Yeah. Probably you know that this is the dodecaphony, in which every tone has its own possibility to be listened, to be to exist, so to say. Yeah. This is, from my point of view, the top of Kundera aesthetic. Yeah. Only in this way we can understand the modern world, not to harmonize it to some ideological way, not to describe the meaning to the world, but let all tones of the world to have their space. And this is the highest, and this is the highest art of Kundera's art of the novel, the polyphony in which everybody is right to speak. Only the reader is zodpovědný, is responsible for the sense of the novel. And responsibility is something what we can take, what we can bear. Maybe is there some connection between Beethoven and Kundera? I hope so. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for such a rich and interesting talk. We can take some question. Yes?
I, not being a musician or anything myself, I came because I love the book, The Unbearable Likeness of Being, and I had a question for you about it, and I have no doubt that you'll be the best person to answer it. Perhaps I could just start by saying that the quote in The Unbearable Likeness of Being about Beethoven, if I could paraphrase, I think it would be something like, your love is nothing if I do not know who you are, and if I know who you are, then everything is possible. So I would say that is the quote. But anyway, I didn't start with the book. I started with the movie, which I have to say was a devastating movie for me when I was 22 years old. I watched it, I was disgusted, I was devastated by the subjugation of Teresa, you know. I watched it, I thought, my God, this is disgusting, I'm watching, this is disgusting, okay. Then I thought, there is a root to this, let me read the book. So that was when I was 26. So I thought, this book is unbelievable, and I think he would never have approved of the movie, because he never would have allowed Teresa to be subjugated in the way she was. And so my question for you, whether or not he approved of it or not, but I believe he would have been disgusted by the movie, my question for you is, how could he let that movie be published? That's my first question, which you may not be able to answer, but I'm sure you can. And my second question is, could it have something to do with his deep privacy and perhaps his confidence? Because perhaps many things happened in his life that made it difficult for him to articulate certain things, especially perhaps about love and relationships. That's usually where people are, you know, in devastation. Could that be why he was not able to say to the filmmaker, never, ever do that? That is a devastation of my book. So that's my question.
Thank you for this really very beautiful question. And sorry for my English, because I'm in jet lag. It's very difficult for me to find the words.
I'm so sorry I don't speak Czech. Forgive me.
But true to say, he was really unhappy with these movies. He undersigned some contract, and then he saw what happens. Yeah. He had and everything was almost perfect because the filmmakers, I forget the name of him. Yeah. And the screenplay was made by Jean-Claude Carrière, another very important person, and everything was prepared that it could be a good movie, but they switch it on the political way. Yeah, it's probably an interesting movie about the Czech politics in '60s, but it's not about the book of Milan Kundera, and he. He had a very important condition that the only music which will be used in this movie will be the Janáček movie, and it was all which he was satisfied with the Janáček music, not with the movie, and it started. It's the beginning of the moment, and Kundera said, "Any of my novels could be adapted." Yeah. Because it's the simplification of the novel. I try to born the new language of the narration, and the film is another kind of narration, and I cannot cooperate with it. Yeah. He was really unsatisfied with this movie.
If I can just sneak in another question, because of what a great mind he was and what a deep spirit. My question is, what would he say to us now where we stand in this time, with everything that's going on, particularly Gaza, the US, I would be really interested to see what he would say, in terms of what you know of him and what you knew of him and who he was to you. Obviously, he was an important person to you.
It's very difficult to say what he will say. Yeah. For him, it was always very important the culture values, and he was quite skeptical regarding this era because he told me a lot of times the people forgot the importance of culture values. Only to take the importance of culture values back can save the world. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have read some of Milan Kundera's books, and I noticed that they often, the keynotes of the books are often about a resolution, heavy and rather serious and sarcastic. Like in The Lovable Love, the absurd game between Edward and Havler, and Immortality, the Death of Agnes, and even the book about love and forgetfulness, the tragic end of Tamina. But the unbearable lightness of being just concludes itself in a rather serene, pastoral, and peaceful way by describing the harmonious life of Teresa and Tomáš in a rural area. I'm just curious about how this kind of apparent embrace of the idyllic, which is a stark tonal departure from his signature existential skepticism and ambiguity, why he made this shift, the style shift in his book of Unbearable Lightness of Being, because he was talking about the Great March right before the final chapter. Is he just wanting to show us the two sides of the concept of the pastoral in his book, or something else?
This is a very interesting question because it goes strictly to the structure of Kundera's novel. This is the case when I spoke about the structure of the novels, about the composition of Kundera's novels, that it plays very meaningful roles regarding the readers. This is exactly this example. In the last chapter of these books, we are facing the situation in which two characters are going to sleep, to lay in the bed. The description is idyllic, is full of nostalgia. But if you see what's happened, you see that you are in the situation of funeral. This is the grave what is described. the small lamp, the nightmare which is flying over the room. Why? Because they lost their energy for living. Yeah, few chapters before these, you know, as a reader, that after this situation, both of these characters will die, yeah, because they have nothing for, they have no reason to live. Yeah. To resign means to lose the chance for living. This is, in fact, this is not the idyllic situation. It's the situation of the resignation. How do you see your future? Asked Teresa a few pages before. And Tomáš answered, I have no future, and I'm happy to have no future. So what you can expect? Nothing. You can only die.
I think he wrote about the structure of this ending in The Art of the Novel, or Testament Betrayed. He talked about if you move the chapter, you shuffle the order of the chapter according to chronological order. It doesn't mean anything to him. He likes the structure of the novel.
On another case from this book, you know, this is a very beautiful scene in which a nice dog, Karenin, is going to die. For a long, long time. A lot of pages of dying. It's so sad. Nobody can help himself not to cry. Yeah, it's too sentimental. It's a kitsch. Yeah, it's a kitsch.
This is the Kundera work, kitsch. Yeah. We all learned it from Kundera.
And few pages before, Kundera, like essays, described the word kitsch. And he said, it's the worst situation of the art. And it's not only the situation of the art, it's the situation in which the man is too sentimental to see the real world. Kitsch is the evil of the world. And we say, okay, yeah, you are right. Kitsch is the evil only. A few pages later, everybody is crying. That's the composition. Yeah, he's playing with us. Yeah. And to understand the Kundera, it's not to understand only what happened in this moment on these pages, but what happens in the context of the novel. Once, when we were preparing the catalog for this exhibition, I asked Milan Kundera, and it was before his novel were translated in Czech language. I asked Milan Kundera if he can translate 3 paragraphs from these books to the catalog, to be published in the catalog. And he told me, why not? I can do it. I was so happy. 1 week later, I called him, Milan, are you ready? No, I need more time. Milan, these are only 3 paragraphs, that's all. I need more time. Everything was ready. Everything was prepared. The catalog was prepared to send to publishing house to print it, and I was waiting for Kundera. 2 months, 3 paragraphs. 2 months, 3 paragraphs, and then he sent it to me, and he told me it's ready. And I told me 2 months for 3 paragraphs, and he asked me, and what do you think about? It was not only the translation of 3 paragraphs. I had to translate all the books to understand what happened, yeah? Because every of my word is connected with the contents of the others. So I have to reread my book. I have to translate it in my mind. And after that, I can give you your 3 paragraphs. Maybe one thought. And when it was finished, I read these paragraphs and I called him. Look, Milan, there is written the woman character tried to switch on the small malou noční lampičku, the small table lamp. Yeah, it's very difficult to translate it in English because, yeah, and I told him, the small table lamp is nonsense. Because in Czech, malá lampička is diminutivum. It means the table lamp is small itself. It's not necessary to write the small table lamp. And he told me, yes, you are right. Okay, perfect. I was so happy. I correct Milan Kundera. One sentence later, there was written, and again, it's very difficult to translate it. Nikdy tě nespustím z očí, how can I say it? I never leave you from my eyes. I never lost you from my eyes. Again, this is the art of translation. I cannot do, but it's a typical Czech phrases. Yeah, if we say it in Czech phrases, it means I will check you by my eyes, or I will never let you out of my sight. This, I never let you go. Yeah, and I told him, Milan, you forgot the Czech language. It's a typical Czech phrases. I will ever check you by my eyes. And he told me, you are so stupid. You destroyed my novel. My novel is about love, not about jealousy. And this was the moment when I understood how important is the art of language for Milan Kundera. How important is the comma for him? How important is the meaning of every word? Because to change the meaning of one word, it can change the meaning of all the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a small souvenir for Professor Kubíček. Thank you so much.